Hello everyone, it's Linda Ockwell-Jenner here, co-founder of the Small Business Community Network with another SBCN Perspectives and my good friend Mr. Steve Bentley from Northern River Financial. Hi Steve.
How are you on this fine, almost winter day?
Well, to be honest, I've been up since early morning. I sat on the sofa and didn't want to get back up again.
Well, I've been out of town. I just got back in about an hour and a half ago. So
Oh,
luckily there's no snow yet. I'm just kind of crossing my fingers, hoping we don't see that ugly white stuff anytime
well,
soon.
thanks for taking the time tonight because I wanted to put you on the platform, so to speak, and talk a little bit about Northern River Financial and
Hmm.
ask you a few questions if that's okay.
Perfect.
We've talked about everything else this year, so I thought we may as well delve into Mr. Steve Bentley. So, what is Northern River Financial?
It's a company that I started probably about 15 years ago, but actually became Northern River Financial at the end of March of 2015. It's an independent brokerage. We have three offices head office in Waterloo. We have an office in Huntsville. We have an office in London, Ontario as well. And we're a full service financial services firm concentrating on financial life planning with two associate advisors and three administrators with the company at this point.
It sounds good. So, 2015 till now, you've been operating Northern River Financial
Hmm.
as it is, and it's doing extremely well. Um, so, I wanted to delve into a day in the life of Steve, and it seems to me like you're either eating butter tarts, or
Yeah.
meeting someone for coffee, or you're up north, on your kayak walking. So, walk me through a day in the life, Steve, of your work day.
I think every day it's changed. We try to make use of time as efficiently as possible, and I basically look at my week. It's 5 days. The one thing we deal with a Huntsville office is obviously having to be there April through November, one day of the week. So that's lucky me. I get to spend some time up north every weekend essentially. But we concentrate on making sure we have preparatory days, we have meeting days, and we have client meeting days. And so usually 2 to 3 days of the week are scheduled from morning until evening, dealing with client meeting after client meeting, because it's more effective that way. Because that way we can either be on the road or be in the office or working from wherever we happen to be working for the day. So it's pretty intense. So I tend to usually use Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays as my meeting days, Monday and Fridays as either travel or up north or preparatory days.
So typically, when you meet your clients, do you meet them at their location, in a coffee shop, at your location?
Yeah, we took a conscious look at that a long time ago in terms of where the industry is heading, and we made a conscious decision that we were not going to have formalized offices with red bricks and nice fancy furniture and just have it sit there for a long time, because I'm not in any office for more than
No,
maybe
no.
30% of the week, right? So we have virtual office spaces. So we work from our home. We also work from office spaces in each of the three cities. Each of our administrators has a full-time office, and the advisory side of the company, we're transient. In other words, we could be in the office or we may be out. I like to work from the client site. It's more convenient for the client. But if we need boardrooms or meeting rooms, we've got them available whenever we need them.
So obviously, you do the frontline work, shall I say? You meet the clients, obviously.
Hmm.
Do you ever have to go back to your office and do any paperwork, any boring stuff, or is it all fun for you?
We try to get away from paper, but unfortunately, it's a slow process, I think, for anybody. But a lot of what we do is virtual. In other words, we can do the work from wherever we happen to be. So we work with a lot of software. We work with a lot of online tools. So we try to cut back. We have a digital file format. In other words, we don't keep paper unless we're sort of
That's
work in
good.
progress. We basically don't keep physical client files. We have digital client files. So we try to mitigate how much paper we use in our business. I don't see the point in paying
No.
for file rooms to store stuff a cabinet where we can have it with us whenever we go.
So today, then, our lives are made easier because of the digital transformation. So you do a lot of that work yourself. Then you can use the software and know exactly what you're doing on the computer.
Yeah, I essentially have a trickle down kind of office format where I've got effective associates in Waterloo and in Huntsville that take care of a lot of the legwork. Could be interim client meetings, it could be full client meetings, but I'm sort of like the quarterback of the team, and a lot of the technical analysis and doing the actual financial life plan comes down to me. So, but a lot of that integrated work and the input is not something I spend my time doing.
No,
I more
no.
verify information and then pass it down if I need additional work done by other people.
Okay. So do you have to hire outside people, like outsource your accounting or any work at all?
It depends on the client, but I think most often we are working with a team. Essentially, I think if you look at a financial plan, we're also looking at working with accountants, lawyers, real estate agents, mortgage brokers, just to name a few. Sometimes they are already associated with the client. Sometimes we bring them in to actually do pieces of the work we need to do for our
But how about
clients.
Northern River Financial? Who does your
hmm
accounting?
Well, I have a past certified management accountant, but I actually have somebody that does my accounting for me in terms of a formalized process. But I still do the sort of the bookkeeping side of it, and
I'm
again,
glad,
that's
yeah.
all automated.
I'm glad you said that because A, we need to keep an eye on it ourselves, but B, we
hmm
can't do it all, can we, Steve? We have to outsource some of the work for our organisation. So where do your clients come from? Are they all referrals? I mean, do people refer you or?
We've built a business to the point where we work predominantly on introductions and referrals from people or people we know, or doing a lot of networking, as you know, we both do. So, but that's sort of something that comes with this kind of business where you've built that over time. So if you were starting out in this business, a lot of it would be having to go knock on doors and find people and talk to people, right? But we have a certain style and certain way that we do our work, and we have a very strong brand that we like to share with people. And it's very casual conversations to start, but usually it's involving a coffee, whether it's a coffee shop, as you may know, or in an office, or even in their home, to be
Yeah,
honest with you,
yeah,
wherever
yeah.
they're most comfortable.
So what is it, do you think, that your clients are recognising about your brand when they come to you? What is it that tempts them to say, I want to know more about Northern River Financial?
Well, I think the connotation is, well, we go with a tag, keeping life current. In other words, people are so focused in terms of their normal planning. Well, first of all, a lot of people aren't working on their finances the way they should be, right? So many other things going on in life. There's so many stresses that people have to deal with, extracurricular activities. So more often than not, it gets put back on the back burner. We like to become that quarterback, that coach, and so we look at financial planning, but we like to introduce life into the concept of financial planning, because it's not all about being forward focused and looking at retiring and looking at what you're going to do in 5, 10, 15 years. Is what you're doing today. So creating a baseline for today and looking at making sure that we can take care of as many things as we can take care of, or get things taken care of, so that there's peace of mind. So then you've got a good platform for then building forward and building the things that people identify through goal identification.
So if you were a brand new financial advisor or a business of financial advisors, they wouldn't have your brand immediately. They wouldn't have, such an outstanding brand and all the referrals. So how would new financial planners stand out from the crowd, do you think? What are some things that you think you did that they could emulate maybe?
I think it's all about relationships, and I've seen it in situations where people are young and they feel they can go and talk to anybody about their personal finances, and that's the first thing that's wrong, because you don't know these people, you haven't developed any form of rapport with them. So, and then you're also in a situation where you're in an environment. I take a trade show where you see a booth set up for a financial advisor or planner. People don't want to talk about their finances there, right?
No.
It's totally inappropriate as far as I'm concerned. So it starts with a conversation, but to start in this business, it's hard, and you have to knock on a lot of doors. And it's just like any sales position. You have to start very, very small and think big, and then try and do and be as active as possible. All comes down to activity. So forget about the brand, trying to get yourself grounded first, and then you can work on the brand side of it, because you need to have clients first, right?
And again, you're in a different business to me, but I would normally recommend to my clients that build a little bit of brand first to build the trust and the credibility. So, did
hmm
you have to knock on doors all those years ago? Did you literally knock on people's doors?
No, I took an approach where I looked at the way people, like I started off in a large corporation where they trained people to pick up the phone and dial a random phone number, and then didn't You know, you don't know who
That's
they
just
are.
bad.
And that's so much harder to do with the do not call legislation today.
Yeah.
But it is, because your hit ratio maybe is 3 appointments out of 100 dials. So that's a lot of wasted activity. So I took an approach to try and work with warm leads, people I had some prior identification with or communication with, because there's a little more freedom in terms of people willing to talk to you once they know who you are and you shared some information with them.
Yeah. If a financial advisor rang my doorbell at my home, I think I'd scare them away, because what am I supposed to say to them? Hello, come into my home, let me tell you all about my finances. I don't think that's appropriate.
Well, the other thing too is it's all about intrusion, right? I mean, I don't like calling people out of the blue because I don't know what they're doing, where they are, what frame of mind they're in. I'd rather have some form of prior identification or communication, whether it be an email, text message, but certainly not to knock on the door or a cold call, because that's totally a disruption for those people. And more often than not, they don't want to talk to you because you've disrupted them. So why should they spend their time, right?
And it's been in the news a lot lately. What about if they are like the bad guys and they're not really who they say they are, and you hand over all your financial documents to them and they run away with it? So I think it's much better today, to be honest, to do what you're doing, and to basically the warm leads, get to know them, and then the trust is built. Is there anything you don't like about, your profession, your career?
There's always bad apples in the cart that, as you just made a mention of, create a, I don't know, a public, concern for people who are, in most parts, very legitimate in the business they're doing. But it can be said about any profession, to be honest with you. But sort of the side of it that we try to counter with is to say, well, let's introduce a brand, let's introduce a lot of content, a lot of transparent information, so that people can get a independent perspective of who we are and what we do without us having to talk somebody's ear off, to be honest with you. Because as you know, most of anybody who's engaging with anybody these days are doing an online search and doing their own research.
If they're clever. Otherwise, they may lose a lot of money. So really, you enjoy your job. There's only that one little thing you don't enjoy. But do you ever kind of, on a cold morning, go, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't want to drive all that way?
No.
No.
Well, yes, and you know what? If it's blizzard outside and it's Friday and I'm going to go from Waterloo to Huntsville, don't think so, right? I mean, I'm in that position now where if I find a day is not worth traveling, I won't. But I do enjoy getting up, right?
You do enjoy what you're doing. I can tell, and everybody who comes into contact with you enjoys it. So have you got your 5-year plan? I mean, what do you see yourself, where are you in 5 years?
1, 3, 5, and 10. And we keep working at it every year. We just take it apart, put it back together again, and keep going forward, right? But everybody should have a plan, a financial life plan, and that incorporates that perspective of 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. Yeah. Where do they want to be today, where they want to be in the next short term, and then work forward in terms of where they see themselves in the rest of their life.
That's a really
you start early, you'll get there. You're trying to play catch up at age 55, makes it pretty challenging.
So you were a naval officer, I believe. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Were you in the Navy?
Yeah, many years ago. Yes, actually, back in, I went to Royal Military College of Canada, started at Royal Roads in 1982, graduated RMC in 86, and was in the Navy until 1990.
Wow.
And then came out and settled in Waterloo, and I've been here ever since.
What do you think that taught you, being in the Navy? Did it teach you... Oh, I don't know. What did it teach you?
Well, it's also the training as an officer at the military college too, which is a strong part of it. But leadership, working with people, organization, time management, assertiveness. I mean, I could go on. There's a lot of very positive skill sets that are easily translatable in any business, and they have been very successful in being implemented in our own business. And it's a drive, it's a desire. I think that's the thing. Anybody in business, if they don't have the drive or desire or passion, there we go again, my favorite word, doing what they are doing, then maybe they should be rethinking their strategy.
Because I think you and I were talking the other day about the younger generation today, maybe your sons, my sons, probably won't stop in the same career, for such a long time as we did, or, other people have. They may be... and it's a lot to do with the new technology, isn't it, and the changes in the workforce, so How many times did you change your career? Just once?
No, 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 no. You know, I've kind of been in the same circle, financial services, since 1990, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been an auditor, I've been an accountant, I've worked for CRA, I've worked in consulting, tax consulting, and now I've landed in the position
But
of
it's all in
financial
the
advisor,
same.
planner.
Yeah, it's all in
Financial
the.
services,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Right back to the military, to be honest with you.
yeah.
I was with the accounting and controllership functions of the Canadian Forces back just before I left.
So I would say that your success is a lot to do with the fact that you have a really all-round expertise. You know a lot about a lot of the financial sector. You've started in
Mm.
one place, worked way along. You're very, very, you're a people person. You like people. Otherwise, don't be working in this, in this sector. And I love, the way you network and you get to know people and you pass on referrals to other people and stuff like that. And I just think it's interesting in your line of work today because I personally would not, even talk to anybody if I didn't know them or trust them. So I think it's going
Mm.
to become even more difficult with this, online resources for the younger, new financial advisors to actually be knocking on the doors or cold calling because I don't think people want that today. I really
Not at
don't.
all. Not at
Yes.
all. And I consciously deal with it almost every other day of people who've had that experience. And I don't wish it on anybody, to be honest with you. But you know what? People have to start somewhere, and they're soon going to quickly learn that that cold call isn't the best strategy.
And you mentor people, don't you? Not particularly, it
Hmm.
might not be particularly in this, but you do mentor people, so that's wonderful.
Hmm.
Well, it was nice talking about you for a change. We offer a lot of tips on here, don't we, Stephen? We reach out to the audience to see if we can offer them things they want to know. But I wanted everybody to know more about you and how you got started and why you're successful and how many butter tarts you eat in a day.
I don't. That's the false sense. It's
Really?
all about social selling. It's nothing to do with eating butter tarts other than last Friday.
So it's a little bit like my wine consumption. I just have a glass for show.
Yeah, I don't know where you got such a big glass, though.
Well, Steph, it's been really nice, and thank you for taking the time tonight because I know you're probably tired. And we'll see each other again next week.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Take care.